Yo, what's good? What's good? Welcome to the Epic Entertainment Critics. I am Antoine.
And I'm still James.
So, got a
On
movie review.
video.
What you just say?
On video for
Oh,
once.
can't see you yet though, but
Ah,
I will bring you up after I do my intro. So, got an intro. So yeah, here go my intro. All right, we back. Thanks for checking out the video. Let me bring up James real quick. There he is. Boom. So,
what's up, guys?
so we are going to review Velvet Buzzsaw. Velvet Buzzsaw is a Netflix movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. Also got Rene Russo, John Malkovich,
Toni Collette.
yeah, and Toni Collette. And I think what was that British chick name? I forget.
Ah,
Was she in anything else? I know she was in something else. I
I've
couldn't
seen
place what she
something
was
else.
in.
I know I've seen it in something else, but I can't.
So it had actually a decent amount of stars in here, and I think this is kind of like what Netflix have been doing, where basically stars, big names, been kind of going to Netflix to get they projects off the ground, where things that studios probably wouldn't green light, and cause studio they just want to make their money back. They don't care
Yeah.
about no pun intended art. They just want to they just want to market all this stuff and make money off of it. But this movie was more of a art film. No pun intended. So Velvet Buzzsaw. Did I say the name right the first one? Because I often want to say Blue Velvet, because it's a movie that came out called Blue Velvet with Dennis Hopper. Anywho, Velvet Buzzsaw is about art. It's about an art critic mainly. He's the main character, which is Jake Gyllenhaal. It's about an art critic that has that, and it's all about this whole art community. You know what I'm saying? About critics and artists, and people that
Like gallery owners and
right,
collectors.
gallery owners, and how their whole life is, how how they behave, how they how they treat each other, how they treat other people, which is pretty shitty.
Yeah. I mean, critics
So
in general were shitty, so
yeah,
not that we
so
know anything about it.
the main premise is one of the characters is kind of like a struggling. I don't know. Is she trying to be a gallery owner? I think she kind of like
Like,
what you say?
I mean, like, yeah, it's like she's trying to be, like, I'm not even sure because I don't know what kind of jobs you can get on that level in that world, but like
Well, I
it
would just
looks
say
like she wants to be a deal maker of some kind.
right. I would say she a kind of like a struggling. I mean, I would say she's on a come up to be a owner, so she's trying to learn from a owner already. So she kind of like a protege to Rene Russo character, which is like an art gallery owner or something.
Yeah,
And the character basically is in a position where she kind of desperate because they telling her like, look, you got to move up, you got to learn the business, and you got to work under me. So she happened to come across some art from a dying artist that passed away, and they had instructions to get rid of all his art. So she was like, well, shit, nobody
well, the
owned this, so
let me
so
catch it.
was that
She basically said that when she got the news, yeah, so we're just gonna toss it all out, destroy it. Like, I'll be right back.
right? Like, I mean, she had the opportunity of a lifetime. So she took that art and basically tried to start her own business up with it, and that's where this movie kind of come in, where this art is supposed to be something amazing. Everybody that sees it can't take their eyes off of it. So this kind of kickstart her career as a art gallery owner or whatever. So this brings all these other characters where you got Jake Gyllenhaal as an art critic. That's, he loves this stuff and he want to find out more about the person who made it. And this is kind of like where the story comes in at. And I'm gonna give you the basic premise, man. What you see on the trailer, the art comes to life and I guess just kill people. So it's somewhat of a horror movie, but then they pitched it like a horror movie, but it's not for real all the way a horror movie. What would you describe this?
I guess, in the way that everyone's basically creating their own subgenre right now. It's like, I guess, an art thriller.
Yeah, you would say that because it's about art, but they put a lot of the suspension and thrills in it. But it's mainly about it's kind of a drama too. It's like a art drama about kind of like how these people treat each other, how these relationships are. You know what I'm saying? And then stuff like because I found myself getting into a lot of that parts over the horror part. The horror part is very secondary. You know what I'm saying? Where I found myself getting into the whole who's sleeping with who's talking shit about behind whoever back. You know what I'm saying? That stuff actually was more interesting than the horror stuff.
Yeah. So again, that was kind of a first for me.
Right, but I was like, that actually makes for a decent movie. Just seeing how these people, how they get along, how they stab each other in the back, and how they so pretentious, how they just think they shit is better than everybody else shit. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That was a little more interesting.
Like also, I think like they really do a good job of illustrating how different the perspectives of artists and like I guess folks that deal in art are.
Right. Which that's giving us a peek in their life, which I never really got to look at, and it's kind of interesting seeing how shitty they was to each other.
It's kind of like the same thing, like whenever you look at like the Hollywood situation where it's like you have these folks over here that's just trying to make something, and you got the studios like, no, don't worry about that. We ain't gonna make this expose you want to make on the social injustice. What we're gonna do right here is we're gonna make this little film for the kids because it's gonna make bang.
Yeah, and I'm looking like the horror aspect, when's that gonna kick in? You know what I'm saying? Because they pitched it like a horror pretty much on the trailer. You know what I'm saying?
Full stop.
And then I'm thinking like, okay, when is horror shit gonna kick in? Because I was like, the drama's interesting enough. The horror just gonna kind of make it weird, but we'll see, because they pitched it like a horror anyway.
Because I remember I had paused it because I had to take a phone call. And when I came back, I was looking like, wait, the movie's almost over? There's hardly any horror in it.
Right. So, like I said, and on the trailers, they showed that the paint's coming to life. So at some point, you like, okay, how's that all going to work? Is every time somebody get a pain, they're going to end up dead? And there was some kills in there, but the way they did it was kind of corny looking, man. What'd you think of the actual horror part? Was it anything kind of eerily scary or, they had some gore though.
It was like there was some eerie stuff, but like it was all stuff that we've seen before. Like,
yeah,
whenever art is, especially art where there's eyes on it, are involved in horror, like the eyes are always a focal point of it.
Right, and right. Go ahead, finish.
So like a lot of the stuff was like, I know how that's gonna get him. I know how that's gonna get him. I know how that's gonna get him.
Right. Yeah. And then you see like, if a painting move, you like, okay, what's gonna happen? Or like, the eerie part is the eyes wasn't looking at you, but now they looking directly at you or something like that.
Yep.
You know, they kind of didn't even explore. They actually didn't even explore as much as they could with the art being, coming to life or whatever.
Because I was looking and I'm like, so they're gonna explain how this all happened, right? They're gonna explain why it's like this, how it's affecting other pieces of art that he didn't do.
Yeah, that's another thing. And I was hearing people had a big problem with that. I was like, wait a minute, I thought only his art, came to life. No, they kind of start. It basically affect other art. I don't know if it's by that art or it didn't make sense. That was stupid. I think the whole idea of the art coming to life was kind of stupid. Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Because it's like a couple of those kills, they weren't nowhere near his art at the time.
Right, yeah, I know. So that part really I did not care for it the way they handled it. I was thinking maybe if the art drove you crazy and you killed other people or some shit, that's more acceptable than the actual art just coming to life. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want to spoil too much, but you saw this on the trailer. They got the sculptures coming to life too, and they had the fucking the hobo man.
I can't save you.
That I don't know, man. That did not belong in this movie.
Nah. And also, is it just me or did that thing look like Conan O'Brien?
No, I got the feel for when it started chasing him. I started thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street when Freddy when he looked like he looked like a drunk dude walking down. Oh, come here, girl. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, man, what the fuck? So
because I'm sitting there like, this is one of those like movies where you sit there and have your time like, okay, who's gonna make it to the end?
Right, right. So, and I'm thinking like, okay, and these people are so shitty. Like the way they treat people, the way they act. You ain't really on nobody's side on this movie. Maybe only one person I kind of was on their side, and that was the secretary assistant girl,
Coco.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the only person I felt something for. The rest of them, I was like, okay, they all pretentious assholes.
The most positive thing in that movie was her moving back to Michigan.
Yeah. And I'm saying, okay, they all pretentious assholes, and when is the horror gonna kick in? Because I was to the point where, okay, I don't like no character in this movie, so I'm okay with y'all taking them out, But they took so long to get to that aspect of it that I just kind of got like, I was kind of out of it by the time the horror started to kick in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, what did you think about the actual kills? Like, did they work for you?
I mean, there was some that were kind of they were kind of par for the course. Like there wasn't anything really all that exciting.
Right.
I think like more than anything, it was kind of like they were trying a little too hard to make the kills feel like part of the art.
Yeah, I mean, which I can understand that, but I don't know. I thought it was okay, but then I was thinking in my head, man, I had such better ideas on this, and I don't want to say like exactly what I was thinking because it is kind of spoiled the way they actually did it. But the way they did it was kind of a real letdown. Because I feel like this movie could have went two ways. This movie could have just been like a drama about the society of like art critics and artists and stuff. Or it could have been a horror movie about paintings coming to life and killing people. Those are two separate movies, basically. They had like two different movies that they try to mesh to one.
And you know what I'm saying? Both would have been good movies.
By themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I was thinking like, man, they really kind of fucked up on this, because you got a good horror idea and you got a good drama idea, and you throw them together, and now together it don't work,
Like, if this like felt like less of an art piece, I'd be like, man, some studio said, you know what, we need these two scripts to be one movie. But
Uh-huh.
like, I don't know. Like, this feels a little too much like somebody's vision or whatever.
Yeah,
You know.
maybe it started off as just this drama, and then they was like, well, you got to make it more of a horror. So you got to throw this in there. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how they do that. They add stuff to punch stuff up, and it
Yeah.
just don't work sometimes. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But it was entertaining enough to keep me. I was, I was entertained by it. Some halfway, I didn't go like it. It was entertaining enough to keep me interested enough to not cut it off. But it did not stick the landing, and it did not go where it probably should have went, and it ended up just being just a okay movie. So I guess with that, I'm gonna give it my rating. So my rating for this, I'm not gonna give it a whack because like I said, I enjoyed it enough to be entertained watching it. These characters, actually, all the characters were kind of interesting people that I was following. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they were shitty people, but I was kind of interested on where they was gonna go next or whatever. And then it kind of ended on some dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? So for that, I'm gonna give it all right. I'm gonna give it all right for what it could have been. But other than that, like I said, it did not follow through. It was just too many different things kind of crammed into one, and it did not work out for me. So I give it all right because I was still entertained enough, so it's worth a watch. So that's my rating. What you give it?
Yeah, I'm gonna give it pretty much the same. Like, because one of the things I thought was really interesting, I wish they had it expanded on. You know, and if they hadn't been trying so hard to be two different movies, they would have had time for this. The fact that all the this that saw the art,
Uh-huh.
like, acted to it way different than everybody else.
Right.
You know, like because all this were like almost like, oh man, I can't be around this right now. I gotta go do some of my stuff.
Right.
You
Right.
know. And
Which
then all the critics is just like, let me just immerse myself in all of this like forever now.
right.
So
They didn't make that clear exactly what was going on. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, they opened up a lot of doors for a lot of good ideas, and they didn't capitalize on any of them. So hopefully somebody can see this and make a better movie, just with this as a blueprint. That'd be actually kind of good. That'd be actually kind of
I'd
cool.
watch it.
Right.
I'd definitely watch
it. So I'm gonna wrap this up. That is our review for Velvet Buzzsaw. It was not a bad watch, but did not live up to its potential, in my opinion. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. And thanks for checking out the video and subscribe to the channel. All right.